Defending series champion Jordan Szoke started round 2 at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park with his worst finish since 2008. But as a true champion does, Szoke bounced back and climbed to the top of the box in race number 2. Meanwhile, Ben Young and Alex Dumas continued their back-and-forth battle for the 2021 championship and have just 13 points separating them. Who will reign supreme as the king of motorsport in race 3? Hello everyone, and welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park and Race 5 of the 2021 Canadian Superbike National Championships. The 2021 IBEW Canadian Superbike Championships are presented by Mopar, Yuasa Battery, and Joe Rocket.
Watching our top pro superbike competitors on the national scene heading out for their third warm-up lap today. Never before, Frank, have we had 3 races in one day. When we look at the grid, we will be missing a few riders because, of course, there's been some attrition, but remarkably not that much. As we move on to that next set of grids, very important to see Jordan Szoke, one of the riders who's in points contention for the championship, did not qualify well on Friday. Then we move on to the first row. You'll notice Ben Young, second straight pole position, Yuasa Battery pole winner. Also, our other points rival, Alex Dumas, next up on the line, and we're going to talk to Hannah in the hot pit about Dumas.
After 2 second-place finishes today, will Alex Dumas push for the win in race 3? We spoke to his crew chief, Patrice Goyette, who says Alex is always hungry for a win. So keep an eye out for the Suzuki-mounted youngster who's pushing for a win in race 3 today.
Well, Colin, this is a bit of history, of course, here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, the old Mosport. Third race of one day. We had planned 3 races on a weekend, but all on one day. We now go to the IBEW lights. The lights are all on. When those lights are extinguished, we say, now the field is away and running, and they're charging down into turn 1 for lap number 1, race number 3, and Dumas has got the lead.
Yeah, and have a look in second place on that Yamaha R1 is Thomas Kazaz. He really had a lot of action in the last day and a half, so seeing him get a good start on his backup bike after an all-nighter and problems in one of our earlier races. This is very, very encouraging for the young rising star.
And rising star he is indeed, and he is staying right with Dumas early in this race as we're working lap number 1, of course. And you can see Tommy, of course, like many of the riders, has chosen brand new Dunlop slicks for this national championship race. Down into Moss's corner they steam. They'll soon be on the back straightaway for their first run on the dyno.
Now that we finished polishing the halo of TV Tommy, let's talk about third place, Trevor Daly on that 1-speed Suzuki, showing very, very well. And right behind him, returning to the big bike, Sebastian Tremblay, who has already won our pro sport bike Liqui-Moly middleweight division race today. So lots of guys showing lots of pace early. And then right behind them, Frank, is Ben Young and Jordan Szoke. So good effort by Szoke to move up. Young clearly did not have a great start.
Well, the Shaker's in there as well, and I believe we just had a pass made, as a matter of fact. Sebastian Tremblay on the 24 machine, and it's Trevor Daly that has gathered him up. Now Ben Young looks to the inside of corner number 10 as they come out in the front straightaway. Young is suffering from a horrible start, Colin.
And we have to mention that the championship is on everyone's mind, right? There's this round and 2 more in Calabogie, and it's very, very close atop the standings. So Young is under a lot of pressure to try and get after Dumas, and of course Szoke even more so because he's a little further back in the standings. So really, for early in the race, our focus is somewhat on 5th and 6th place, Young and Szoke, and Dumas right now leading at a track he's never raced at until today. Very impressive effort from the Quebec City rider.
Well, I'm thinking after race number 1 on this day, a lot of people had written this man off, our 14-time national champion, the people's champion, Jordan Szoke, but he came back in the second race and he put it to the kids and won the race.
So let's see how we do up the dyno on the back straight this time. Dumas on that Patrice Goyette built Suzuki, very fast motorcycle. Dumas did a lot of riding on GSXR 1000s last year in the American series in the United States. And yeah, it looks like Dumas maybe has slight legs over the Yamaha, but it's also worth considering, Frank, that isn't really the correct Yamaha. The correct Yamaha wound up...
Szoke has gone to the inside now of Young. and of Tremblay, I should say. And now right on the back wheel of Daly is Ben Young. Ben Young now moving up into third spot as they come out of corner number 10 onto the front straightaway. Young is making up for that aforementioned bad start, and Daly having a look over and seeing Szoke come up alongside. So I think Zoke's got a pass in mind. Indeed, he has made it.
And I can't help but wonder if Daly's concerned not to get into the middle of the points battle. I think it's too early to worry about that, but the top two are getting away. If they continue to do what they're doing now and can hold up on the back straight, they could turn it into a two-rider race.
Casas is doing exactly what he should be doing, right in the wheel tracks of Dumas. Look at that. They could run over dimes at that point. And you're right, Colin. You're exactly right. Very, very rarely have we seen a runaway here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It's always that Mario Andretti straightaway that is the great equalizer. But thus far, these two youngsters have definitely got some distance.
Young and Szoke have spent a lot of time together in the last few seasons, and I think right now, look at Young's making some good gains on the second place there, but I think Young knows that they need to work together. They can't battle up this back straight. They have to run line astern so that hopefully you can catch the slipstream, and it looks like Young and Szoke have done enough. They're not quite there, but they've made up a lot of ground, and Casas continues to put the pressure on Dumas, but he hasn't shown him a wheel yet.
So just before we go to break, we have Dumas leading Casas, then Ben Young, then Jordan Szoke, and the Shaker in fifth. We'll be right back. Closed captioning of this broadcast is brought to you in part by Goderich Toyota, Traction Heavy Duty Parts, MotorcycleCourse.com, and Revs for Rent, CSBK's official charity. We're back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park now. Dumas up the back straightaways. Colin, they're starting to tighten up. Young and Szoke have worked together, and all of a sudden Young is right alongside Casas as they come up along the bridge there, and Casas breaks free of him. Young gets into, or holds on to third spot rather, Szoke in fourth.
And I think that was straight up practice by Young, who just set the fastest lap, and I think what he's doing is figuring out the maybe easiest way by Casas. Casas is vulnerable at the top of the hill. I don't think his Yamaha is quite as fast as Young's BMW, but Casas is very fast through turn 8, and he likes that wide line, so it's not going to be easy. And meanwhile, it's early days, but Jordan is definitely in a position where he can challenge. Jordan has to win, right? He's pretty far behind in points.
Casas got an excellent drive coming off turn number 2 as we start race lap number 5 here, Colin, and he has shown some intent, but as you mentioned earlier, he has not shown the wheel just yet. He's still going to school.
And we should mention Tremblay is still part of the story in 5th, Daly hanging on in 6th. And at the back of this group, in his 3rd very strong race today, is Steven Nickerson on the DeWalt Honda. And good to have him back in the series. He's one of our leading riders from the Sword Championship at Grand Bend. Unfortunately, riding a little bit injured after a couple of recent crashes.
Well, right from Daly on up, Daly running his 6th spot, but there's your group of 6 now onto the back straightaway. And up front, of course, is Dumas. He continues to lead. He's led every lap of this race thus far. Tommy Casas has sit in 2nd spot the entire race thus far, but it looks like Jordan Szoke is on the move. He looks to the inside of Young. Nothing to be had there just yet.
Yeah, a lot of practice going on. It's a little bit early to show your hand, but I think it's timing. You want to know what's possible, but you know the meat of the story here is definitely Young and Szoke and what they're going to do and how soon they're going to do it. Of course, at this point, tires are a concern. You need to be a little bit thoughtful, particularly with that rear tire, to not abuse it too hard because you're going to need it hopefully going up the back straight on that last lap. And as you can see at this point, Daly is right in the story, right? So he's towed his way back into the discussion, and really in terms of tire life and how you've geared the motorcycle, that's really going to be the story late in the race, or at least that's what we hope, because typically they've been close.
Well, this has quickly become a 6-horse race. Nickerson sitting back in 7th spot. He's just a spot in the background there. I can't see him making up the distance, but nonetheless, we have a terrific battle up front between these 6 riders, with Daly at the back and Dumas up front.
Yeah, really nice shot there on board from Dumas Suzuki of the very hard-riding TV Tommy, and it's so good to see him up at the front. He had a really big crash Friday. They had to turn the B bike into the A bike. Obviously, that's not ideal, but this is the kind of thing.
Young's moved into 2nd spot. He has displaced Tommy Casas, and Szoke is on the move now as well, Colin. Up and over the bridge they go. He stays right with Young, and he's now in 3rd spot behind Dumas and Young.
Nice call, Frank, but you got that one wrong, because Thomas Thomas sweated it out on the wide line in turn 8, and let's have another look at that because that was awesome.
That was
so
beautiful.
now we go on board heading up the back straight, and there you can see Young's BMW putting the power down so nicely. Now we look backwards after he's made the pass. That's TV Tommy in the draft, and Szoke's coming hard. Szoke hasn't been going on the wide line very much this weekend, but this time he decided it was important. Of course, what happened immediately after that was Kaz's going right back on the outside of turn 8. Spectacular riding at the front.
Yeah, and I was glad to be wrong on that one, Colin. Beautiful move by Tommy
you were right
Kaz's.
for a minute or a second. Sorry.
He did make the pass.
Very briefly, you were correct.
And he is in third spot now, and I think he has a pass in mind. Here comes Young again, coming up on Duma, and is he going to make the pass here? Oh man, the camera work here is fantastic. Coming down into Moss's corner now, the deep depression down at the bottom end, and the right-hander that'll bring them out onto the... oh, look out, Duma has gone wide. Young has taken the lead. Ben Young has sprinted in the lead, and it looks like Tommy Casas might have an idea going along. No, Casas is going to tuck in behind Duma and be satisfied by that, but what a great move by the Braveheart.
Yeah, and that was a little bit aggressive and a little daring for lap 7 of 14. Let's see it again, and right here, you can tell Young's looking, and all it took, I think, was Duma was, wide by hardly anything, but the door was open. We've seen this move usually very late in the race, and the thing about this move is the second place rider, now Duma, definitely loses a bit of his drive. And now we're watching from on board with Tremblay, and he rides around the outside of Jordan Szoke in turn 8. So all kinds of terrific riding going on throughout this top 6. Very dramatic here, and we'll be right back for more great action at CTMP.
Welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. The shuffling continues as Tommy Casas is now back in 5th spot. Let's check in with Hannah in the hot pit.
After a win in race 1 today, Ben Young is currently leading the standings for the King of Mosport. We spoke with Scott Cartier, who says that Ben's stated goal is to push for the win, lead the most laps, trying to maximize points to close the gap for the championship.
And while we're talking about gap to the championship, interesting developments as we proceed here. Duma has led a fair bit of this race, which means he's going to get the bonus for laps led. The current standings would suggest that now Duma is 15 points ahead of Young, and Jordan Szoke would be almost 43 points. Not almost, 43 points further back. So right now things are breaking Duma's way. Of course, the most important thing is to win the race. And we've got to mention, because really we've kind of overlooked it, Jordan Szoke had a very bad time in race 1. Dealt with some handling issues, came back and won race 2. So he might be in 4th right now, but we know he has what it takes to move forward. And now that we're getting to that point in the race, as you can see, where he's having a look on Tremblay. And of course, Tremblay on that other Kawasaki has been a great story this weekend too.
Absolutely, and Tremblay is in a position where he could win both the sport bike race and the superbike race on the same day. It's been a long time since we've seen that happen, but the Shaker is running a great race now on the Turcotte Performance Kawasaki 1000, running in strong 3rd spot, but Szoke has gone hunting, and he's looking for an opportunity here, Colin.
And you could say that Szoke has a very modern riding style. It has evolved throughout his very lengthy career at the front here, and he's a pick it up and get it on the fat part of the tire, get the traction with the throttle open. But the man he's chasing, Tremblay, is old school in the way he rides his
Szoke
Ninja.
To the inside. Oh man, I thought he was going to park it in there. Szoke had the inside line on Tremblay, and Tremblay shut the door on him.
And Daly, look at that. This is what happens when you're at the back of a slipstream. Daly pulls out that big lap. Anything in the 20 flats at this point with the tires worn is a tremendous effort. We've seen a lot out of Trevor this year. Last year he missed this race because of COVID, but he's in a good spot too if he can make things work in the draft. And of course your question at this point is, where is everybody in terms of tires and gearing? You can save your tire. There's not much you can do about your gearing.
Well, Szoke in behind Tremblay. I was going to suggest that they work as teammates. Now Szoke is right up alongside. He's made the pass. Beautiful pass by Jordan Szoke as he neatly moves into 3rd spot.
And Duma took the lead there. Young is all over the back of him. So really, Frank, right now, the leading group is closer than they were at the start of the race.
Oh, man, I thought Young was coming back again. In 10 there, he had the inside line on Duma. They're shuffling around.
Let's watch the replay here, Frank. And here we go on board with our leader. And we're having a good look at that very potent Suzuki of Duma as he heads to the inside at the crest of the hill. Brave country here at around 300 kilometers per hour. And Jordan Szoke, you can see, having the nice move on Tremblay. Tremblay. And so we had 2 passes for first and third, and Tremblay is still right on top of these guys. A very solid fourth. We'll have to see what plays out, but I'm not sure if it isn't our 3 points leaders who have the best chance at the win here in terms of where they've set themselves up.
Well, we've got 3 laps to sort this one out, brother. And here comes Young again on the backside now of Alex Dumas down into Moss's corner once more. Szoke looks like he's getting ready to uncork one. If I can read body language, I'm going to suggest that Szoke is going to tuck in behind and just maybe get something happening here.
Well, if I can read body language, Dumas turned early at 5B because he was not going to leave the door open again. And look at this, Szoke trying underneath Young at very high speed. Szoke right on the very edge of the track, 3 abreast.
Coming into turn number 8, and no, the door has been closed. Quietly and silently, it has been closed. Young into the race lead.
Let's watch that again from on board, looking backward from our leader, Dumas. There you can see the red BMW heading to the wide, tricky line, and then Jordan Szoke, our reigning champion, is going to duck under very, very tight. Now we're looking forward with former leader Dumas, and there you can see Young fairly early makes this move work, and then we go back to watch the live action. This is the final turn where it's all going to come down. In our next segment, we'll be right back.
The 2021 CSBK season is presented by Mopar, Yuasa Battery, and Joe Rocket. Back in action here at Canadian Tire Motorsport. Colin, I'm running out of fingernails. These guys are driving me nuts. Up front it is Ben Young, then Alex Dumas, then Jordan Szoke. Tremblay, the shaker, running in fourth spot, rather, and I think they're starting to lose Tommy.
Not sure. We'll see what the draft tells us, but yeah, it looks like the 3 guys who are trying to win a championship are the 3 guys who are trying to win this race, which tells you all about the pressure as we're side by side, 3 abreast.
Szoke right into the lead. Szoke up over the hill and into the lead. He has passed both Dumas and Young. Man, the people's champion. He's got a burr under his saddle and he's going for a ride.
On board with Young's BMW, there's Dumas in second, about to make a move. You can see the front end wandering around as they accelerate very hard, but then Jordan Szoke appears and takes the wide line where he's been reluctant to go. And here you can say it's a little more desperate. You can see the rear wheel skating around.
Man, look at that.
And Dumas actually had to make a little room.
No kidding.
You can see that the gloves are off now, Frank. There's a huge amount of pressure amongst these 3, and all 3 of them believe they are going to win. Of course, in a way, Dumas is the least likely to, because he's the only one who can afford to give up a couple of points.
Well, after qualifying and again after race number 1 on this day, there were a lot of people that were counting Jordan Szoke out of this thing, but boy, he came back in race number 2, and here we are in race number 3 on this day, and Jordan Szoke again into the race lead. I am so impressed, Colin.
Great shot going down into the chute on board with Ben Young, and for the first time, Jordan's going to lead. So now we're going to get an idea of the performance of this brand new Ninja as they head up the straight. Dumas in perfect position, tucked right in, everybody doing exactly what you'd expect. No surprises, no fooling around, because we're too close to the finish.
Tremblay sitting back in 4th spot, just waiting for a chance. And, you know, he is in a very good spot there. If he can get him behind those guys, he'll get a good tow, but he seems to go out to riders left almost every time on the approach to corner number 8.
Watching them come up the straight that time, Dumas had a good slipstream on our leader Szoke, and he couldn't seem to make much headway. If anything, it looked like Young might be able to make. Oh, look at Young.
Oh, man. Colin, we've only got 1 lap to go after this. I think they get, last lap flag is out right now. So this is it, man. Szoke leading down into 1. The People's Champion has got the point at this point in time, and we've only got, as I mentioned, 1 lap to go, and Young looks like he's on the move already. He moves to the outside as they crest the hill in turn number 2. Has he made it happen? Not quite. And Dumas right in behind Young, looking for the short chute up into Quebec corner. Here we go into Quebec corner number 3 on the old most part, and Dumas now looking to the outside of Szoke. Ben Young looking to the inside. Now we're headed up towards corner number 4 and then down into Moss's, Colin.
Fantastic on board from 3rd place Young, and you can see that Szoke is doing everything to use as much of the road as he can. He knows where the passing opportunities are because he's been watching the whole race, the battle between Dumas and Young. And now the question is, does he know enough to find a way to win this from the front? Because normally you do not want to be leading.
Well, leading it is Jordan Szoke, and he is very tight to the line there, coming up the back straightaway as we watch for Dumas. Now he moves to the right-hand side and tries to make a pass on Ben Young. That ain't going to happen this time around. Young around the outside of Szoke as they head up towards corner number 9, and no room in the in right there. Young, one last chance, and he has not got it done. Young to the inside of Szoke, not done. Checkered flag is out, and Szoke has taken another win, Colin.
Closest top 6 in the history of Canadian Superbike racing, and what a battle. And right down to that last turn, there's been years when they would have wound up in a heap, but this year it was amazing at the front.
Young and Szoke congratulating one another, and Dumas coming. Oh no! Dumas came up behind Young and went to pat him on the shoulder, and I think he knocked him off his motorcycle. I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, we were scared this was going to happen about 3 turns ago. But so everybody's up, and they seem to be taking it well. And everyone to demonstrate the value of an airbag system in your leathers. I think we just saw why you want it.
No kidding. That was awesome. I've never seen anything like that before. In the cool-down lap, riders congratulating one another and ending up on their backsides.
Looking at the back of the results here, but let's talk about the front. And there you can have our 3 points contenders fighting it out to the bitter end. Frank's rushed down to the pits to talk to our winner.
Jordan, congratulations. What a fabulous race that was, man.
Yeah, I mean, I love riding with Ben. You know, he's a clean rider, and we had a great race. I just, on the last corner there, I just held the gas on. You know, like he gave it a good effort there. Like I said, we both went through there with a lot of speed, and I just got a little better drive. And but you know, he's you know, him and Dumas have to think about the championship a little more than I have to, right?
Yeah.
It's just things with the bike, issues with things, and you know, now we have that all sorted. You know, a little too late for that championship maybe, but we're just going to try and win the rest of the races, right?
Ben Young, tell me, is there any embarrassment at all in that last lap crash?
Oh no, it's just Jordan and I congratulating each other. I looked over my left shoulder and Alex came on my right side to congratulate me, and just yeah, next thing you know, Alex torpedoed into the hail bales, and I, thankfully for my airbag suit, deployed and worked out good. But well, last lap.
No kidding.
Coming down corner 4, you guys are in for a treat. 3 wide down 4, you just don't do that. So it was fun. We all trust each other out there, and I went for the move up the inside of Jordan, but I wouldn't have been able to make it without contact. So it just wasn't fair on anybody if I went up the inside of him there. And hell of a race for everybody, and what a 3 races. You know, I feel like we definitely put on a good show for everybody.
I think there was definitely a good show for everyone as we look at the points battle heading into our next round at Calabogie. 2 races are going to decide the title, closer than it's ever been. Got to mention Nickerson now up to 10th, even though he missed our opener.
There we are at the podium now, as we can see Jordan atop the podium, Ben Young in 2nd spot, and Alex Dumas in 3rd. And there's Martin Hamel from the Fast Riding School presenting Jordan with his $500 for the Hard Charge Award, and boy, didn't he ever deserve that. There's Carol Matheson now. Colin?
Ben Young, the new king of Mosport, best overall result out of the 3 feature races in one day, first time ever in the history of CSBK.
And our congratulations go out to Alex Dumas, who has won the Brooklyn Cycle Racing Pro Rookie of the Year Award. He's wrapped that up already. On behalf of the entire CSBK crew, thank you very much for being with us. We'll see you next time.